Alrighty. Hello and welcome everyone to the Friday, November 17th, 2023 edition of the Contributor Comms team meeting. I'm your host, Caslin Fields, and as a reminder, we do operate under a code of conduct, which essentially says to be respectful of your fellow speakers and attendees, and generally be excellent to each other. At the beginning of the meeting, we usually like to try to offer an opportunity for anyone who's new to our call to introduce yourselves. This is totally optional. You're welcome to do it in chat or to unmute and say hello. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're here. I'll open that up now.
I would love to put in a pitch as a new person for the people who aren't new to also introduce themselves, because it can be very intimidating for a new person.
We can do that today.
Have everybody else not do that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello, my name is Ian Clutter. I'm new around here.
Yeah, I'm Shannon. I'm new as well. I usually contribute to the docs only, but yeah, thought it might be fun to pop in and propose something today.
Ian, are you
Awesome.
an emeritus chair of SIG security?
I am the current chair of SIG security.
Oh,
I
you're
guess
current chair. Okay. I was like, you've got so many new folks who are like taking on leadership positions. I wasn't sure where you were at with that.
Yeah, we just wrote out our contributor ladder, and basically we have a shadow program that's about to happen where they stay shadows for a little while until they feel all the way comfortable. And then at some point, we are going to rearrange that, but the current plan is for those folks to shadow.
I will build on that and go next. Hello, everyone. I'm Caslin Fields. As I said, I am your host. I'm one of the sub-project leads for the Contributor Communications sub-project in SIG ContribEx. I'm also a co-chair of SIG ContribEx. We actually just moved our previous co-chairs to Emeritus, which is one reason that I was asking.
Awesome.
Chris, do you
I
wanna
can
go
take it
next?
next. Yeah, I'm Chris Short. I'm from the internet as Chris Short. I also work at AWS. I'm the co-chair of this group. Caslin didn't mention one important note about herself, that she is the Chopwood Carry Water winner, or award earner, I should say, of our group. So congratulations to her. And yeah, I'm here to make comms happen for everybody and help everybody contribute to Kubernetes at the same time. So yeah. I say Federico. Yeah, go next.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I'm Federico, or Fred is more than good enough. I'm currently dealing more with the blog side of the equation here. So I'm coordinating the effort in terms of the blogging aspect of the comms team. I'm also part of the Kubernetes release team and the release notes team, and that's it.
Oh, that's it.
Well, I'll go next.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. So just before I introduce myself, that's not it. Federico does a lot of things for comms. He has plenty of news for us at the weekly call. So yeah. Yeah, for my name is Avinash Tripathi, and I am a lead shadow for comms. It's my usual weekly routine to be here and hang out with folks and do stuff over here.
Who wants to go next? I'll call on Nitish. You gone yet? You haven't gone yet, right?
Sorry, I was speaking, but my mic was turned off. So yeah.
Daggum buttons.
Yeah. Hi there, everyone. My name is Nitish, and I am currently working as an Linux Foundation mentee with the Kubernetes release engineering team for building a Golang library and CLI tool to manage the system packages. Other than that, I was a social lead for the Kubernetes Contributor Summit North America that just happened a few months back. And it's been a while since I've got involved with the ContribEx comms group. And I think this is one of the best decisions that I have took in my Kubernetes contribution journey. Thanks to Castle Fields and Chris Short for being such a great mentors. And yeah, that's pretty much about me.
And shall we have Fika next?
Yeah. Hi, Kathleen. Hi, everyone. My mic was muted for so long. So, since my day one at Kubernetes, I have been with SIG ContribEx comms, and from writing spotlight blogs to contributing in little areas of Kubernetes, I've been a part of it. And slowly and steadily, I drifted to being one of the authors and admins for Last Week in Kubernetes development newsletter. That is also a part of the SIG ContribEx comms sub-project. And apart from this, in Kubernetes, I am also a Kubernetes release team member, particularly in the release notes team. And yeah, a Linux Foundation mentee. And I was a KubeCon speaker. Yeah, that's pretty much me. And really glad to have you here, Alan.
And Sandipan.
Hey folks, my name is Sundipan. I first started out contributing to the Kubernetes community as a mentee in the community manager group mentoring cohort back in 2021. Since then, I am looking forward to and try to contribute as much as possible to the Kubernetes community and other CNCF projects. And you can find me mostly around the SIG ContribEx stuff. That's it.
Welcome, everyone. We're so excited to have all of you, as always. Love it.
Yay.
There were several things in there that I want to call out as big wins for the team before we dive into our regular agenda, even though that's at the bottom now. It used to be at the top. We keep moving things around. Whatever. So we mentioned the Chopwood Carry Water Award, which is the wonderful bucket that I have in my background that no one can see because it's too far away. I will grab that later if people want to see it, but I'm so excited about it. There's also a note about that in our chat room in Slack if people want to know what that award is. Also, congratulations to Chris, Federico, and Avinash on receiving contributor awards at the Contributor Summit. Thank you very much for all of your contributions to this team. And also congratulations to both Nitish and Fika on giving your first talks at KubeCon. They were both part of a panel in the student track talking about being students contributing to Kubernetes.
Awesome. That's so cool.
So cool.
And,
so proud of
sorry,
all of them.
I need to say something here because of the of the contributor to the award. So obviously, thank you for your big role in that. Well, it was honestly unexpected, but that made it even better. So many thanks for your support in this, and I was honestly touched by the gesture.
Have you seen what we said about your award? I'm still laughing about it.
I don't. Well,
where are the write-ups?
I wasn't there, but
if you look it up,
I haven't. No, I will. I will certainly.
Okay.
Could you look it up for me, Chris, so that we can read that aloud?
Oh yeah, hang on. Oh, dear gosh. Is it in the
I'm half afraid of what's coming. So.
I'll grab the link. Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. I have no idea where it is.
If you look up Kubernetes Contributor Award, I think it comes up.
Okay.
I think I've got it. Yeah, I've got it. All right.
Do you want me to read it for effect?
We could link it in the notes too, so that
Yes.
Yes.
Good call.
Thank you.
see it for later.
Thank you. Would you like to do the honors, Chris?
Where to piece? It's in the notes. Okay, hang on.
Oh, I can do it. I have it in front of me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead. Feel free.
I wanted to read this one aloud because when I wrote it, I thought it was funny. To Federico Munoz, I don't know how to pronounce your name properly. Could you?
That's fine
for me.
Yeah, it's Munoz.
Oh,
Poor thing.
No, it's
not good though.
No, it's you did it with your. It was perfect. What you
Okay.
did works
Yes.
perfectly well.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I'll take it. So to Federico for being an absolute boss of a comms blogging lead and showing us all how coordinating many projects and contributors at once is done.
Oh, That's I'm
in front of a whole crowd of like 200 people, 300
Yeah, that
people.
was
I'm
real
glad
loud.
It was a big group. Like that group photo was immediately after that. So yeah,
Thank
that's
you
how
for
many
that.
people
Yeah,
were there.
that's the only thing that makes me glad I wasn't there, because I would like crawl under a table likely or something. But thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's hugely kind of you.
And there's a special sentence for Chris and Avinash as well, but that one I thought was funny, so read that one aloud. But if you'd like to see the others, they are in the link, which is in the notes and in the chat. Thank you for the reminder to send the link.
There he is.
All right. And so with that, before we get too late in the meeting, while Chris is still here, there is a new item that I want to make sure that we cover. Shannon,
Yes.
would you like to go on ahead?
Yeah, so we were just like brainstorming things over chat, and then one thing we thought about was like creating a baseline comms plan to communicate disruptive change, just so that our comms are unified and consistent throughout multiple changes, even if they are unique in their own ways. So one way we could start off is just sending surveys or just like gathering information however we can to find out how our end users expect to consume that information, like where they expect to find it, and like how long they would need to prepare for like a massive shift in their processes, and the level of handholding or guidance that they need to do that. And then we could use that information to build just a baseline like set of steps that we could do. So just like who the key stakeholders are, like what the timeline is, making sure that we have like a minimum communications timeline. So like a year's heads up or something, and keeping that consistent throughout. And then using whatever information we got from the surveys to like communicate that in ways that it actually reaches our users and doesn't come as a surprise to them. And then having like regular reminders, but making sure that we define all of that in like a comms schedule or something.
Yeah.
And then making sure that we also create and track we track the creation of a core set of like documentation. So migration guide, blog posts, release notes, announcements. And then, yeah, like I was just thinking that would be good to have.
Oh yeah.
And I was telling
like,
Shannon that we have discussed the need for that before, and I thought Chrissy would want to comment on this.
Oh yes, absolutely. No, I am 100% for this. I wish I had the time to do it, right? Because
I think we've said that several times.
yes. I will say one thing though, right? Like there are certain comms, especially this year and last year, and well, the year before that too, where the need for a response or a communication is more urgent than any process could possibly convey, right? So we need to have a side path for, like what did I call them? Like emergency comms or whatever, urgent comms. Like project impacting comms, like project wide impacting, short notice comms needs to be in there for sure.
Yeah, so just like a crisis comms plan.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it could be real short. It could be like, this is who we need to talk to at various, cloud providers or whatever, right? Like, it's just a way to formalize the process. Yes.
One thing I was thinking on that while Shannon, you were going through kind of your ideas, is that the crisis comms could lead into the regular important comms plan.
Yeah,
because when you said like give us
thing.
give a year's warning for big important changes, like we never
no, we don't get that.
There's a lot of the crisis comms where like that's not really happening, but from a like user's perspective, a lot of those changes don't actually hit them for longer, so they can still fall into that plan even when they're crisis comms. So I think there's a lot of good that could come out of this project.
Yes, 100%, and I am very happy to contribute where I can.
And Ian, we had talked in the past about doing a specific plan about security communication, so that could be a part of this as well.
Yeah,
we also probably have thoughts here.
There's probably already some processes in place too.
Yeah, I think the SRC has done some work on that, and that definitely seems like a thing to communicate with the SRC about, as well as the SIG about, because technically they are responsible for doing the vuln disclosures and we are responsible for doing the comms about them. But yeah, like we would love to work more with y'all on that. I was making the face while y'all were talking about, because on the one hand, to us, it seems like a year is ages for to give people notice for changes. And at every workplace I've ever been in, when there has been a big breaking change that got communicated, despite all of us running around with our hair on fire, jumping up and down, hooting and hollering, like waving our arms around, yelling about these changes for a year, inevitably there would be groups of users who would be like, what? I never heard about this, and so
Yep.
I think a good thing for us to consider, and I'm sure this has been covered here 1,000 times, but I'm new here, so is how we go about reaching the maximum number of end users who are not ordinarily connected to contributor comms or maintainers, because I think that there is a population of end users who historically at least have not been reached as much as we could have. And so figuring out how best to do that, I think, is going to be really good and important.
Yeah. So one
And that is-
anecdote, one anecdote.
I was just going to say that is a problem that, sorry,
Yeah.
that is a problem that goes beyond comms as well and involves like steering and stuff like that. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I will say for the registry change communications, that most of the people I talked to after that, after the event had occurred, in Amsterdam, they said they found out through their cloud providers, which I thought was highly interesting, given that this was the first time we actually said, like, hey, person at Google, this is very important. Message your people that are using Kubernetes everywhere. And like, even AWS sent a message to all EC2 users just to cover the entire population of Kubernetes users. So yeah, I thought that was a very, very important part of that process. And then the hindsight of anecdotes was,
which these are things that could be better documented.
Right, exactly. Like who to reach out to. Like right now at Microsoft, it's Jeremy Ricard. Right now at Google, it's Bob Killen. So yeah, it's all about doing that, reaching across, and we should expand it to more than just AWS, Google, and Microsoft, right?
That also almost starts another very interesting conversation of should we have specific points of contact at the various companies for these kinds of things? Should we like assign that as a role within the project? That has to be passed on if someone leaves a company. It's an interesting idea, right?
Yeah,
there's so much around this proposal. Like, we're not going to figure it all out right now, obviously. But forewarning, if you want to get involved with this, it's going to be huge, very helpful, and take a while.
Yes.
And fun.
And it's going to be fun.
And fun, yeah.
It's going to involve so many people.
And then we actually get to put it to the test afterwards.
So if people were wanting to get involved in that, for the people in the room and also our friends in the back on YouTube, like how would people go about doing that?
It's a good question. So Shannon, this is like this was just a brainstorming thing we were literally having 10 minutes ago. And so we haven't started up anything yet. I think, Chris, like you're saying, maybe starting up an issue is a good first step. Did you have other thoughts?
Ian, did you? I mean, that was like bare minimum what I was thinking.
Oh, I don't know. I know that Kaslin was like, so if you want to get involved, so that was just the
yeah. No, there should be an issue. We can discuss it in the contributor comms Slack as well, as we work on it. I think, having conversations there.
I think issue will be the central starting point. We can create the issue and then start workshopping it around, getting the eyes of various parties on it to try to get some initial considerations, and then see where we go from there. Maybe we do some kind of like a rough draft. Maybe we start that survey initiative. We'll have to decide what next steps will look like. And Shannon, if you want to be the owner of this.
This needs to land on the board, Kaslin.
Yes, it does need to land on the board.
I mean, I can open the issue for you. That's not a problem.
I think it'd be good if you want to own it, then Shannon, if you want to open the issue.
Yeah, I'll open an issue for it. I will definitely need help owning it.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's what
maybe
we're
we
here
should
for.
say it's a contributor comms owned project.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you have any issues, we can own it. So maybe that's a good reason for Chris to do it, since he's a sub-project lead. That also helps.
I will
to make it
happily
clear
assign myself and +1 it. I think that might be the best way to get you.
Okay, and I'll just like
I think
tag.
that's a good way to do it.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. So next steps. I'm gonna put that in the notes. Next steps. Shannon creates an issue. Creates an issue. Chris +1s and comments. Workshop the issue around in groups like SIG ContribEx. Would we want to post this in the SIG security channel
Yeah,
in Slack, do you think, Ian?
Sure, why not?
Yeah,
Can
think
help
pulling
can
in-
help bring people in, and like we're all about cross sig work over there, you know.
awesome. I think we could mention once we get a little further down the road, the like chairs, tech leads, get their sign off or inputs.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
We got to
yeah,
go to
chairs
those
and
folks
tables.
with something though before we just ask for help, right?
that's a great idea. I think working across SIGs is going to be really important for this because, like, if I think about historically the different crisis comms and like where those have come from, they've not all come from the same places, right? They're different parts of the code, they're different SIGs, they're different priorities, and like getting that kind of input, like chairs and tech leads are stakeholders, right? And like probably have ideas about how they want their changes to be communicated too. So I think getting kind of like wider involvement is going to be really good and important here.
Yep.
All right, I put some of these next steps ideas down here in the notes. Good stuff. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, like I'm very happy this conversation happened today. All right, like this is good stuff.
Thank you, Shannon. Did not know what you were signing yourself up for when you asked Bob what you should submit to Cube.
Yeah, but I prefer this.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, a good point. I also mentioned to Shannon, by the way, Ian, your previous talk at KubeCon about communication flops around communication things.
Yes.
That was a good talk. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. Yeah. I don't know how it's nice to hear that because I never hear anything about that talk. So
I think about it. It lives rent free in my brain. All the time.
All the time.
All right. And so, Chris, you need to leave in a minute or two, right?
Yeah, let me mention this one issue that I created, or Jeremy created, and we had a nice Slack discussion about. I need to find the Slack discussion and actually link it here, because apparently I forgot to. But Jeremy wants us to get a survey about LTS upgrades out the door. And asked for a very wide net to be cast. And this was one of those things where I was like, are you sure? Right? Like, because it's oftentimes, we just post stuff on Twitter and it goes nuts and we don't get the input we want or from the input. And he was like, nope, I want a wide blast. But there was some nuance provided to end the discussion. So let me go find that real quick. And yeah, I can link that in the issue and then move on with my life today.
Very good. A couple other quick items I want to mention before you have to drop off, Chris.
Yes.
As you already saw, note for everyone, our meeting next week is canceled due to US Thanksgiving holiday. So a lot of us folks in the US will be off next week. So we went ahead and canceled the meeting, but we will be back the following week. Also in the Slack channel, the SIG ContribEx comms Slack channel, there is a conversation going on where Josh brought up if we should abandon Zitter once again. Specifically, he was talking about last week in Kubernetes development Zitter. But yeah, I wanted to mention that is a conversation that is ongoing in the Slack. Anything else, Chris, before you have to drop off?
Nope. Thank y'all for everything. Thank you for the work that you do. But because of y'all, I got this award. So thank you very much. Really appreciate everybody here, and even our new members. Thank you for being here, because yes, you do matter, and your help would be much appreciated.
Thank you for letting
It's
me be
always
here.
wonderful.
All right, y'all have a great weekend. If I don't talk to you between now and then, and stay safe out there.
You too.
Thanks, Chris. All right. And we will continue to move on with our agenda. This is a very casual meeting, by the way. I don't think I actually said at the beginning, so feel free to interrupt at any time if you want to keep talking about anything. So there is a link in the notes to the request for that survey that Chris was just talking about, the long-term support survey. So they requested that we get to work on sending that out after KubeCon, and it is after KubeCon now. So we do need to think about how we are going to do that. Yeah. So we'll want to get a tweet going on that. We'll want to probably send out an email, and figure out kind of what other channels we might be able to tap into. Speaking of channels, I kind of want to use this opportunity to mention a couple other things in the updates. So we mentioned last time, for folks who were on then, for folks who weren't, there's a conversation going on in steering that someone popped in and let us know that in Istio, they had been told that they were expected to take over their account instead of the CNCF running it. And they checked in with this, or they just checked in with the CNCF about Kubernetes IO because they noticed that it has been dormant since April, which I had not even noticed. But they checked in with the CNCF on it, and the CNCF said, oh yeah, we gave ownership of all of those back to the projects, and steering and everyone else, us included, were like, they did what? So now that it is after KubeCon, once the CNCF folks are back from their vacations recovering from KubeCon, we will be asking them if that is truly the case. And if so, the contributor comms group, this group, will be taking over ownership of the Kubernetes IO account on Zitter. That is a huge account. It has a lot of followers, and it has an end user audience, not just a contributor audience, which is the goal of Arcade's contributors account. So if we do pick up this account, this will be picking up more work with an audience that we haven't traditionally targeted and that we have traditionally stated as being out of scope for this group. So that will be a huge change for this group if we pick that up.
Caslin, on the LinkedIn one, I think this would be important actually, because one of the few things that I actually do on LinkedIn, apart from saying how spectacular and marvelous I am for people to pay me more, but is actually to list the stuff that I do here as a line item on my CV, just so that I remember. And it would be actually good to be able to, when you add something, you reference an existing org so that it's linked with a position in that org. Because currently, indeed, there's no way for anyone that contributes to Kubernetes outside of a company that actually does that as their 9 to 5 to enter it with a sort of official affiliation, because you can't really do it with the CNCF. Doesn't make any sense. So for example, I just use kubernetes.io as an open text field, but I think this would be relevant in people that actually use Kubernetes to identify their contributions. It would help simplify things.
That is a good point as well.
Who runs the thing on LinkedIn? Has anybody reached out to them?
Yes.
Is that a person,
So,
if we do know, would they be willing to hand ownership of that to the project?
So I'll review that situation. So we were saying a few weeks ago, like a couple months ago, maybe. Yeah. How does time work? that we do want to start up a LinkedIn presence. So this group has not had a LinkedIn presence of any sort really up to now, but we have been wanting one for a bit. So we found that Kubernetes group that exists already on LinkedIn. Chris reached out to the owners of it saying, hey, we're an official group of the Kubernetes open source. We would like to make use of the organization that you already have for contributor communications. We got no response. At that time, we discussed it in the meeting and we were saying, well, our primary audience is contributors, not everyone. So maybe that's fine. And maybe we should make it match with our other social media handles, which are Kate's contributors. So we were thinking we'll start up a Kate's contributors on LinkedIn, but now with us taking over Kubernetes IO, then that's going to change and it'll be more important for us to take over the existing organization. If we
could
can.
also, if they're not willing to do that, create like Kubernetes official or something. I mean,
That's
celebrities
true.
do it on Twitter, you know, or
Yeah.
whatever, like, you know, the real Kubernetes. And you know, like that's also an option, if not the best one, since that one has an existing audience.
Yeah.
Do we have, I mean, I apologize for the kindergarten question. Do we have an end user comms unit, you know, like is
We
there
do
an
not.
equivalent of this for other people who aren't contributors?
So in the charter of this team, we said specifically that we are focused on contributor comms because the CNCF handles end user comms. Because at the
If the
time,
CNCF no longer wants to handle end user comms, then it might
exactly
be worth revisiting this charter, actually, which has not been mentioned in the meeting. But if that is officially in it, and our duties are evolving beyond that, then that might be a thing worth taking a look at.
Exactly. So in the conversation and steering about us taking over Kubernetes IO, it was proposed, like, do we need an end user focused comms group? And steering folks were unanimous in saying we have the contributor comms group, they have the skills for this. We would prefer to add this to the scope of that group than to create a new group. And
Okay, so
Chris and I agreed on that as well.
Probably should revisit the charter then.
Yes,
so
if we're picking this up.
Fair enough.
But
okay,
we probably are.
End user comms are really important. Like, I'm not saying that contributor comms aren't important, but I feel like
end
there's
user
a big
comms
gap in this, you know. SIG
Yeah.
Docs, to answer your question in chat, does do some of the end user comms stuff, and SIG Security does too, to some extent. But the question that I had was more, is there like an official equivalent of this for end user comms as opposed to contributor comms?
Yeah. So there is no existing end user comms group. Steering and sub-project leads agree that it would be an extension of this group's charter. Yeah. So we'll probably hold off on actually updating the charter until we get official word from the CNCF on if we're taking Kubernetes IO, but it's definitely leaning that way. Even if they didn't at this point, maybe that's something that we should do anyway, since everyone has agreed that if we were to need to take that over, then the comms group should do it. So it sounds like that's kind of part of our charter already, right?
Well, and it's
Or should be.
dormant, right? So
Yeah.
like, you know, it's not like we would be taking it over from somebody who is actively using it.
Yeah, 'cause it hasn't posted anything since April, which is sad. It's really sad that we didn't get that in time to talk with CNCF about it before KubeCon. We did our whole project of oh yeah, that's another thing I need to thank people for. Thank you to everyone who helped to write posts, social media posts for KubeCon. Much appreciated. We had like 50 posts or something like that, as usual. So it's a huge effort, and we really appreciate everyone who contributed to that. And if we have to pick up end user comms, then we'll have to do even more of that next time.
For
This
full
time,
disclosure,
we actually
on my part, I ended up at this meeting because Kaslin and I talked about end user comms and what that might look like going forward. And I'm really excited to do that particularly. So
it'd be
yeah,
so amazing to have your expertise on that. Yes, so I'm very excited about that. KubeCon posts. I keep having to resist saying KubeCon tweets because that's what we always called that project before. And that's not what
We
that
could
project is
just
called now.
call it that.
Yeah, we really can. Also another item, as I mentioned earlier, Josh brought up if we should abandon Zitter. My current standing on that is that we should not, because in large part because our audience on Zitter is 10 times what it is on Mastodon. And if our goal is to reach contributors, I think we're gonna best be able to do that on Zitter, whatever else that may mean.
I agree. And also there are certain demographics of people in general and developers and contributors in particular who have stayed very steadily on the artist formerly known as Twitter. And like, I think that there is actually a diversity argument not to abandon it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a great point.
Yeah, agreed. And I guess that there's also the thing with we might individually dislike the path forward of X or whatever, but the same could happen tomorrow with, I don't know, Blue Sky, a Mastodon server, etc. So I guess that while it's still one of the main communication outlets that we have, I would not necessarily think that it would be wise to just drop it, unless, I mean, there's something completely drastic that forces a decision.
Yep. Agreed. Sounds like the group is kind of on the same page here. Yep. And we are trying to diversify, like we said, trying to get LinkedIn. We do have a Mastodon account. We don't have Blue Sky because it's still closed.
I
so
just mention it as an example. I don't even go there.
It's good to
I don't have an
talk
account
about,
as well.
Blue Sky is not as sort of tech focused a lot of the time as Mastodon or Twitter is, but I have lots of invite codes and would be happy to like help set that up there. As of the end of the month, they just announced last night, Blue Sky did, that their posts are going to start being publicly accessible. Like Twitter's used to be. And so that actually is a really big deal in terms of like external comms and breaking news and stuff. And I think is an argument for starting to have a presence there, because it's not like it was where it was like a closed beta where nobody could look at it.
Yeah, that is a big argument in favor of creating that account. Which also means if we do any accounts that we pick up, by the way, we do need to make a funding request to the CNCF because we use Buffer to manage our social media accounts in one unified place and manage our team and make sure that we have a process for approving social media posts that go out and all of that. Ian, if you want to hang out after the call, we can go over that more. And anyone else who would like to hang out and go over Buffer. So yeah, that will be a funding request. So it takes a little bit to get it done, but that is a good point. Shannon, sorry, I interrupt you.
Oh no, I was just gonna ask, do we have a subreddit as well? And
So there is a subreddit for Kubernetes. It is an unofficial subreddit. The project does not officially own it.
By Tim Hawkins. So although it is not officially project owned, it is close to the project.
Exactly, yeah. So that's something that we haven't really talked about. I've talked with Bob about it and he was like, oh, it's unofficial and we're leaving it that way for now. Like at the time that we were talking about it, we haven't discussed whether we should change that. I think we probably wouldn't for Reddit. So that's such a informal community, I feel like. But
yeah, Reddit, I think it's less broadcasty than
it's less broadcast.
The other sites are, you know, like if it's like, you know, we're putting posts out to talk to a group of people rather than a lot of people are talking to each other.
Yeah. I absolutely agree. I guess that Reddit is also more self-sustained, right? Because it's a community that people share links, etc., and they expect discussion to happen. So I guess it's less. You put it perfectly well. It's less broadcasty.
Yeah. So feels less in the purview of our group. Not as broadcasty. Right. Good notes. So I think we should probably start up a Blue Sky. Like, I mean, worst case, we don't use it.
I'm happy
So-
enough to set that up if it makes sense for me to do that and just give the creds to whoever, because I have a bunch of invite codes. So
Yeah, that sounds like a great first project for you, honestly. If you want to help set that up, and I can help you get set up in Buffer as you do that, since you're interested
honestly,
in
I'm
and social
I'm
media
not
stuff.
even sure that Kubernetes IO has one. So like I could set up two and just like,
That's true, just to hold it.
yeah,
I think we had reasons that we weren't doing that before, but now now maybe we
did
should.
we? Probably because CNCF was, but yeah, like
Because CNCF owned it.
active over there. But let me double check that before I actually officially say that that's a thing.
Yeah.
There is a kubernetes.bsky.social. I have
Someone in the community might be sitting on it.
somebody in the community does appear to be sitting on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It might be Bob. Bob also.
No, it's some person named Richard Hartman.
Okay, don't know that.
I don't know that person either, but like they seem publicly contactable. And it basically says that it doesn't really say it's a placeholder, but it also kind of does, and hasn't posted in 7 months. So like, yeah.
Cool.
There's also,
These are...
because of the way that Blue Sky, I'll stop talking in a second, I promise, accounts work, like you can either have the like username.bsky.social, or because it's federated, you can have your identity connected to a domain. So even though somebody has kubernetes.bsky.social, there could also be a kubernetes.io account if somebody who has access to that backend put in a record in the DNS things.
That is a good point. Yeah.
So like that is also a possibility if somebody has access to do that and wants to do that.
Yeah, consider if we will use the kubernetes.io domain. These are great considerations. We have less than 15 minutes left, so we should probably move on to other things, but this is really important stuff that we need to keep talking about. Folks okay with moving on for now and continuing this discussion on Slack and in our following meetings? Cool. All right. We'll discuss this more. The only other thing that we have on our notes is blog reminders, which I'm glad that Federico you put on here so that we make sure that we get to it. I assume that was you, Federico.
Yeah, it was. No, this is just some quick notes of the stuff that's been out for the past 2 weeks. So we had several of them being published. So the SIG Architecture Spotlight on the Production Readiness was published around 2 weeks ago. The Contributor Summit interview with Noah was published around 1 week ago. And that article around the creation of the SIG etcd and was also pushed last week, both in their own homepage and in kubernetes.io. So I mean, this is the outcome of the work in the last couple of months, and that's it.
Wonderful, thank you. Excited about all of these spotlights. A recap for folks who are new. So the SIG Spotlight blog series is an ongoing project of our group. Anyone who joins is always welcome to get involved with that project, where you interview SIG chairs, you turn that into a blog post, and the goal of these is to highlight what the SIG is doing and also highlight any calls for help that they have via a blog post. So those are always open to new members if anyone wants to do them. But our new members today have other projects that are very large that we are excited that they want to get involved with. One other thing that occurred to me that I want to mention before I move into the board and try to do as much as I can there is we have discussed the possibility in the past of like hiring contractors through the CNCF for doing specific projects, specifically the kind of critical comms project. If that gets so big that you need additional help, we can discuss that possibility. I don't know that we would need to go that far, but I want to mention that that is something that we could discuss if we needed to. Cool. And with that, I will move into the board. Cool. So here is our project board. It's a good question that I just noticed that you asked, Shannon. Thank you. Considering other social media alternatives. Folks have mentioned interest in doing like a podcast or something in the past, but that kind of stuff is so much work, so much ongoing work that we've not done it thus far.
Yeah, and I'm actually still in discussions with Noah in sort of doing a follow-up to the interview that could have an audio/video component.
Cool.
Because I think that would work nicely. So on top of the interview, complemented with something like that, which means that we wouldn't need to actually transcribe the words to a document because it's actually talking about something that's already out.
Yeah. We have had members of our team that have done like interviews in the community as videos before, so there is precedent, and we do encourage members to do that kind of thing if they're interested in it. We can do that more. So with our last 9 minutes, I'll see how much of the board I can get through. SIG release spotlight blog series. Nitish, any updates? You might be hardware muted. Looks like you're not muted in Zoom, but I don't hear you. Still don't hear you. All right, we can come back to that. You can also type in chat if you're having audio issues. So SIG architecture production readiness. Is this the one that was done, or is this the one that had multiple parts?
No, that's done. That's
okay.
That's
This is the done
closed.
one. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
So it
we
should
had
be
almost
moved to done. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we almost moved it to done last time, and then I was like, well, it's part of a series, and I don't know if you want it moved to done yet. Cool.
Yeah, but that's specifically the one on production readiness, so it's fine.
Excellent.
That is opened.
And this is the so this is the PR, and this is the bigger issue because the SIG release spotlight blog is in 2 parts. We're doing it separately for the different sub projects. Still not hearing Nitish. So if you want to put your updates in the chat or post them in Slack later. SIG testing spotlight article, Sandipan. Any updates?
Yes, Federico has created the PR and it's ready for review.
Oh, wonderful.
I guess.
I need to put this on the board, don't I?
Yeah, and it should be there and should be open. So if no,
This is here.
what you are doing is fine.
454. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it's not on the board yet, right? Which repository is that in? Is that in contributor site?
No, that's the. Oh, okay. So
454.
sorry. Are we talking about the SIG
yeah.
testing or the
SIG testing?
The SIG testing one. So, but the one that you have in the board is the one that's opened.
Right.
That one. That's
but I don't
an
have,
actual.
I don't have this.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't have the.
You do not.
This is the PR.
Okay, so
I have the
that's-
issue, but I don't have the
Okay.
PR.
You can add the PR as well. You can add by
Hashtag to select repository.
it's the
site.
yeah.
It was there.
Exactly.
And then 454. There it is.
Yep.
All right, cool. So we have the PR added here to track. Excellent. Thank you, Sandipan, for getting that going, and Federico for helping that along. Any other items on the
And
testing
that
spotlight?
one is also created on the website right now, but I don't think you should. There's a need to
Okay.
add it there.
So it's going to go onto both the contributor site, kates.dev, and kubernetes.io, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So we can add that in later if we want to find that. So in progress items. Spotlight on SIG Kate's infra is Bishal. Is Bishal around today? I don't think so. All right, so we'll pass on that for now. SIG architecture spotlight article. So you've got one piece of this done, but you still have three more? Two pieces done?
Yeah, and the next one is likely to be API governance, because it's already is like 3/4 done. I saw the answers today, so it's almost done. That would be the next in the series, API governance. Then we will follow with enhancements and then code organization.
Wonderful, thank you. Book
But
reading
I'll
club.
I'll open specific ones afterwards.
Okay, cool. Is the book reading club one still on hold?
It's not on hold. It's simply delayed. I've pinged Carlos again, and it's the answers are not there. So it's just a delay. So I need to continue to insist until we get something.
We were supposed to get more answers in 2 weeks in September. This is how these
absolutely.
spotlights go. As you're saying?
Nothing. It just that's why I like to work on many of them in parallel, because it means that we end up getting some done while we wait for the others. Yes.
Cool. Oh, interesting. Thank you, Ian, for looking into that. Nitish, are you back now? Is your internet still an issue?
Yes. Yes.
You're...
Sorry. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. So SIG release updates?
Yes. So the SIG release spotlight block, all the changes have been done. I'm waiting for the next set of review. Right. Second thing about the release team subproject, I have drafted the questions, and I will be creating a group and will be sending it to the release engineering managers mostly. That will be working on this spotlight block. But the block that has already been working in progress, I think I just need a couple of more reviews and we'll be ready to merge that. These are the general updates for
the review process on that one has been an adventure. Thank you very much for continuing to work on it.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Wonderful. So we've got 3 minutes left. I'd like to make sure that I get through the in progress at least. Spotlight on SIG node. This one is Arpit. Is Arpit on today? I don't think so. Okay, so we will skip that one for today. Annual report posts. So this was an initiative that we started up before KubeCon. I did look into this a bit more. I actually asked about this while we were at KubeCon. So for the past couple of the past couple of annual reports before last year's, we did a special comms series about the help wanted section from those annual reports. The annual report for 2022 never got sent to the CNCF for collection. So each SIG did its part of the 2022 annual report, but it never got put together into a single document like the other ones for the 2 years before that. So the help wanteds exist, but they are in the individual SIG repos. So we started a project trying to figure out what was going on with that beforehand. And Sundapan, I think you had already created a few of the social media posts that we could do for the help wanted from a few SIGs. But this is going to be more work than we originally thought. You all started this and started finding the ones in the SIG repos. And then we were like, wait, but where's the full one? So the answer is that there is not a full one, and this is just going to be difficult because you're going to have to go to each individual SIG to find it. Still
yes,
useful
actually,
to do.
I have made the full one in the spreadsheet. It's in the areas SIG needs help with that. In that portion, I have copied and pasted the portion that areas that SIGs need help with from the annual report in
That's
the
so
spreadsheet.
awesome. Thank you, Sunpan, for putting all of this information in one place. Awesome. So if anyone wants to help write some posts about the areas where SIGs need help, this is an existing project, but it is kind of old at this point. Yeah.
Related to that, I'm wondering if that might have older data points than the contributor call out at the contributor summit that just happened, where all the SIGs were doing their help wanteds. Like there's, I'm guessing some
Definitely
amount of
would.
overlap, but I think
Yeah.
that's probably going to be a newer source of like what people are looking for. So if we're doing a help wanted kind of blast, that seems like maybe a place to get more updated information.
Maybe a good way to do it would be to take what we have here and have folks reach out to the SIGs and say, hey, in the annual report, you said you needed help with this. Comms is interested in spreading the word about what you need help with. Is this up to date? Would you like to make updates to it? And kind of give them a draft to edit. I feel like that would make it easier to get the responses. Because that was recorded, but someone will have to listen to the recording and translate that into words on a page.
Is there in general a like collated spot somewhere where SIGs can kind of like a submission box, where SIGs
That was
can
actually something
like that?
we were discussing because of this. Was we don't really have a clear process for like, it would be great to just have something where anytime SIGs can just come here and tell us what they need help with, and we can just spread the word about that. We do not have a process for that right now.
I wonder
So
if having something like a submission box, I guess a Google form would be the not paper equivalent of that, and
That's true, we could do
blasting
that.
it out to like chairs and TLs might be a kind of fewer steps than asking people to come to this working group meeting and announce that. Like if just like, if you need help
Yeah,
with something,
we
and you
definitely don't want
that
people to have to do
communicated,
that.
like
Yeah.
stick this here,
But-
like that seems like a thing that probably wouldn't be too hard to set up and might be useful.
Yeah.
But they can also drop by the Slack channel, right? We don't even need that level of formality, right? If we just need to be aware. For example, the SIG etcd one or the others, people catch them and they directed people to the Slack channel, and that worked. But I mean, saying that if people know that they can actually ask for help, maybe coming to our channel and ask would work or not.
I think that's a lot scarier for folks because that's coming into a community and asking for something.
Oh, okay.
Which feels very intimidating.
Yeah, I think some
Okay,
people
perfect,
really like
perfect.
going and talking to groups of strangers, but some people might feel more comfortable filling out a more anonymous like form. And
Yeah.
we could do both, I mean, there's no reason why people couldn't
Yeah.
come talk to us who are excited about talking to people too. But like having, putting out there that like here's an option for you might, I don't know if it would get the interest, but it seems like it could be worth a try.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
I like that idea.
Or
So
even or even a GitHub template issue about asking help for communications. That would
yeah,
be
creating a process for SIGs to let us know their help
Yeah.
wants.
That's actually probably,
Exactly, yeah.
I guess,
What-
more along the lines of Kubernetes governance than fill out this Google form here, because then everybody can see it too. So I like that idea.
That's true. Yeah, we'll kick off this process. We'll continue to discuss it in future meetings. We are a couple minutes over.
Yep.
But I like this a lot. I'm putting this in the notes as well. Create a form or create a process, I will say.
A mechanism.
A mechanism. Or SIGs to let us know what help they want.
An
with.
apparatus.
They want so we can spread the word.
And if we get that up and running, then it, pun unintended, then, and have that be a known thing, then it can be something that there isn't a giant backlog of, and then that can happen sort of faster and more seamlessly, which I think would be good for everybody.
I like that idea. Thank you very much, Sundapun, for bringing up the annual report that we had just kind of like forgotten about. It's brought up all of these really useful conversations. And so that's a really valuable thing. So Federico, you were interested in creating the issue for that, right?
Avinesh, you posted a comment in here that would still require go and say to SIGs about the issue. Can you clarify what that is there?
I mean, asking SIG for updating the issue with the help wanted section. So that would still require someone to go and say for the SIG that, hey, there's a template and you need to fill it up. But
Yeah,
that's more like 1 or 2 times of a thing, and then it
But
becomes a
that's-
usual thing.
Yeah, that's going to where they are rather than asking them to come to where we are.
and it's easy to spam a lot of SIGs by talking to chairs and tech leads about things
That's
like that. Of like, hey, we've made this, please use it.
Yeah, chairs and tech leads is probably the right audience for that. We could use the Slack bot to spam all of the SIG channels, but chairs and tech leads is definitely the better approach for this right now. Because chairs and tech leads should know what help they need and should be able to help us with that, I think.
Yeah, and spamming all of the SIG channels ends up netting a lot of end users, which is fine, but probably not the people who know what SIGs need help with at any given moment.
Not the people we need to reach. So yeah. So chairs and TLs will be our primary audience. We'll create the issue and we'll let the folks know in chairs and TLs. Establishing a process to prevent duplication in Last Week in Kubernetes development articles. That's something for the Last Week in Kubernetes folks to figure out. You all already had stuff going on there. You were just asking for feedback on that, which no one I think has managed to do, which is something. We are 6 minutes over, so I will skip our to-do items for today. We've got plenty of to-dos from this meeting. So I want to thank everyone again for joining today. Ian will hang out for a little bit and go over Buffer. If there's anyone else who's new and wants to figure out how our social media processes work, we're going to go over that after this. With that, I'll open a last chance for any comments before I stop the recording. All right. We are a couple minutes over, so I will go ahead and say goodbye to our friends on YouTube. All right. Bye, YouTube.